Hi everyone, I'm getting ready to start the second layout in this fall album, and I'm going to be using this blue and green paper from the Alleghany Plum collection, and I'm going to adhere it straight to the chipboard with my ATG. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to show you that I trimmed the edge and punched the holes, but I did do that. Now I'm inking the edges with Colorbox Fluid Chalk ink and Chestnut Roan using a spouncer. And I'm going to take this 4x8 piece of that same pattern paper that I had left over from when I cut it, and I'm going to adhere it to the far edge of the facing page. And then in between, I'm going to adhere this orange piece of pattern paper, and I used this on the first page, so that'll tie those pages together. And then once I've stuck this down, I'm going to trim around the edges and punch the holes. Again, that's not going to be on camera. And now that I've done that, I'm inking around the edges again with a spouncer using the same ink. And now I'm going to put down this wide eyelet lace that I got from Lace Heaven. And I'm going to use sticky strip, and I'm going to use a few strips of it because it's such a wide lace. In fact, I'm checking to see if two will cut it, and they are not going to, so I'm going to put down a third. And I'm sticking the lace down now, just centering it. And then I'm going to flip it over and trim the excess from the edges, and then glue down the edges using diamond glaze. And in this album, I'm gluing down all three edges because I need the rounded edge, the scalloped edge, to lay flat on the page. And then what I did is I traced my nestability die that I used to cut that brown photo mat that you see on the blue there, and I'm cutting out the traced part with my scissors to get a very thin red mat around this brown photo mat. And that's something you can do with the nestabilities to create very thin mats, like 1/8 of an inch. And now I'm just going to stick them together with my ATG and then adhere them to the page with ATG as well. And there's foiling on the red that brings out a nice sort of reddish hue to the photo mat. And now I'm cutting out a butterfly from another piece of the same pattern paper for my background because there was a butterfly on the paper that was partially covered by that photo mat. And so I'm going to adhere this butterfly with one wing loose over the photo mat, and the loose wing will be so you can slide a photo underneath it. And now I'm going to use Prima pearls to create a butterfly trail, and I'm basically going to cut up the pearls so that they work for my project. And this is something you can do with your Prima pearls, just cut them up so that they fit what you're doing better. I'm just taking more random little pieces and putting them all together sort of like a puzzle so that it makes exactly the kind of swirl that I want. And I didn't use any of the roses on this because this is a fall album. And here I have some faux Scrabble tile letters, and there's just wooden letters that look like Scrabble tiles. They just don't have the numbers. And I'm using Wild Honey Distress ink to stain them orange. And Wild Honey Distress ink is a great color for fall. And now I'm rubbing the edges along the Colorbox Fluid Chalk ink pad to give them a brown edge. And here I took a 7 Gypsies tag and I kind of decorated it with some fibers and a little charm. And then I did that completely off camera, so unfortunately I can't show you how I did that, but I basically just put some fibers on it and attached a charm. And now I'm gluing my Scrabble tile letters down with quick dry and taking a fine point Sharpie, and I'm writing 2010 for 2010 in the bottom corner of them to give them more of a Scrabble tile look. So here's the charm, and there's what they look like with the date, and there's the butterfly with the swirl. And now it's time to add some stamping, so I'm using this Remember This stamp from Art Warehouse, and I did a test stamp to see how wide it was, and it was too wide for the tag. So basically what I'm going to do is I just cutting it in half in between the two letters, or the two words rather, and I'm going to stamp Remember in this separately. So you see I'm stamping this first, and now I'm going to go back in and stamp remember. And I'm also going to do some finger stamping like I did in the last video with a little tiny script stamp that says our story. And now I'm moving on to the facing page. And I'm going to create faux pockets using this Coordinations cardstock. And I'm just marking the center of it so I know where to put my die. And I'm just using a circle die from Nestabilities. I'm going to just run it through my Big Shot. And I use that arrow to center it. And I'm just cutting out just a shallow little half circle. And now I'm taking the two 3 1/4 inch by 4 1/4 inch photo mats that are cut from the same green and blue paper and inking the edges in chestnut roan. And this will allow for 2 3 by 4 photos on top of these pockets. And that's half of a 4 by 6, so it's a really easy dimension to work with in an album. So you see there how it looks, the finished pocket. And now I'm going to use a scrap of the red foiled paper that I've used before to create my file tab pulls. And now I'm going to put this dimensional foam tape around 3 edges of the photo mat to form a pocket. And I'm going to measure now with my ruler how big that opening is. And after I've done that, I'm going to write the measurement on the photo mat. And the reason I do this is because I forget measurements a lot and I hate to remeasure. So anytime I'm going to do the same measurement, cut things to the same measurement multiple times, I write it down. Another example of when I do this is when I'm making paper bag albums. I always do that then as well. I write it on every single paper bag, what size the paper needs to be cut to. And now I'm taking a white piece of Scenic Route grid paper and distressing it with Wild Honey Distress Ink and spraying it with Tuscan Sun Glimmer Mist. And I'm doing a couple layers, and I'm doing it really blotchy. I don't want it to be perfect because when the leaves change color, they change color gradually, and they do it in splotches. And that's kind of the look I was going for. So now I'm taking the stamp set from Inkadinkado, which is one of my favorites. I use it a lot in the fall. It's called Fall Season. And I'm decorating 2 pieces of craft cardstock that I cut to the same dimensions of the grid paper. And I'm going to glue the grid paper to these. And so you can see, you can still see the grid. So I'm going to stick these together. And this will be a journaling spot or room for a small photo on the craft side or journaling on both sides. However she wants to do it when she gets it. And I'm going around all the edges with the chestnut roan. And now I'm putting sticky strip on my file tabs to get them ready to glue down. And I'm going to stick them to my tabs so that they pull out. And after I put the sticky strip on them, I'm going to ink them with the Color Box Fluid Chalk ink. And it's just easier to do before they're glued to the project. So I've got that glued down, and now I'm going to just peel back the sticky strip and stick it to my project. And then they're going to fit right inside those pocketed areas. So I'm going to now glue these to the page, and you see why the lace had to be adhered on all 3 sides, because I didn't want the tabs to be catching on the lace as the pockets were being pulled, or as the tags were being pulled in and out of the pockets. I'm just turning this around so I can get it exactly where I want it. I want it to be even with the top and right edges of the page. And so now put in my tab, and that's what this page looks like. So there's room for at least 2 photos and some hidden journaling to talk about what's going on in the photos. And this is what the 2 layouts look like together. So you have these pull out, and then there's room for another photo and some journaling on the left side of the page as well. And so now that this layout is done, I'm going to move on to the next layout. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.